Alright folks, we've got a decision and we're going to be going forward with Game 2 with Dimaga taking the win against Sjow in that first series. Decision having been made there by the admin. Always awkward to make decisions like that, honestly. It's a very, very tricky thing to do, but I would have to be forced to agree with the admin on that point, that after that attack, Dimaga was sufficiently far ahead as to have been able to counterattack and potentially win the game at that point. So, we're going to go into Game 2 on TotalBiscuit. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring you dignitas.Sjow. He is in the blue trunks and he is playing Terran to the northeast of this particular map, which is, of course, the TotalBiscuit versus his opponent, mTw Mind Factory's very own Dimaga. He is in the red trunks and he is playing Zerg to the southeast. A default win there for Dimaga, unfortunate. Sjow has been having computer problems here, and Sjow is not, honestly, the kind of guy who will get very upset about that. He's a very, very chilled out person, and him and Dimaga get along really, really well, as you can see there in the chat. No BM and no harshness from there. The regame, as I said, was chosen not to happen simply because of the positions those guys were in. What happened in the last game, for those of you who are confused, is that an attack came in on the third, which was it was a transition out of a failed 2-rack, so very little damage was actually done by the 2-racks attempt, the proxy 2 barracks by Sjow. That was defended well by Dimaga. Dimaga established his second without problem, and then Sjow took his second base, and then Dimaga took the third, secured the third, and the attack came in with Marines and Hellions, and the damage that was done was not particularly good, honestly. He didn't wait for +1/+1, he had no stim, he had no medivacs, he had no real tech to speak of aside from those 2 upgrades that were coming in. So the Marines were defeated with fairly minimal losses there from the Roaches. The mineral line was destroyed, but it was only about 8 or 9 workers, so honestly, it wasn't particularly great there for Sjow. He did effectively lose that engagement, and Dimaga could have very easily counterattacked since he had a Roach count of above 20 and Roach speed available, so shouldn't be too much of a problem there for him. Anyway, Dimaga, let's see how he does here. He goes for the expansion immediately, of course. Very standard to do against Terran, simply because, especially on a map like this, there really is no response. I mean, the only other possibility is to try and harass that expansion. The question is, how do you do it? Well, Sjow's answer is he's going to actually go for most likely anyway, it isn't necessarily this, but it's most likely going to be a Reaper fast expand here. It's a good map for it, honestly, and if I don't see a Reaper coming out right about now, I'll be very surprised. There it is. And that's good, because that'll give him a little bit of harassment opportunity on this hatchery here. He'll be able to catch a couple of drones here, and then also he'll be able to go into the main, scout, check some timings, and do some damage here as well. Because of the hatchery going down, that of course delays the spawning pool, but the spawning pool is on its way. And the thing is, what Dimaga really needs in order to deal with that Reaper, aside from a really good surround, is a Queen. Once the Queen is out, or of course a Spine Crawler, then that Reaper really is a negligible threat. It's going to actually... Oh, nope, he queued up a second one and then decided not to do that. That was going to be very, very interesting there if he decided to go for a second Reaper, but going to be a factory after that. And interestingly enough, not an expansion. Reaper fast expand is fairly common here, but he is mining a lot of gas, which indicates to me he might be going perhaps for some kind of one-base Banshee play. That's very, very good on this map. Certainly a possibility. Could, of course, be transitioning through in... I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do from this point on one base, but Banshee seems the most likely, honestly, with a Reaper in initially to do a little bit of damage and, of course, scout and find out what's going on. Could, of course, be a bunker play. Putting down a bunker with a Reaper in is very, very powerful, but just want to be a little bit careful with that. Gain some reasonable map control. That Overlord, the thing is, that Overlord is going to see everything if it decides to go in there. Second Reaper coming out from Sjow, and a third as well. Could end up being a Reaper Hellion drop even, but I don't know. I don't know if taking the double gas was perhaps good for that. It's a really, really curious setup here. We'll see if Sjow decides to put a tech lab on that factory directly after this. That's what's going to really intrigue me. There we go, Tech Lab going down, so it could very well be Reaper Banshee in a sort of weird, funky version of the 1-1-1 build, but we'll find out. Speed on its way right here, so that's going to shut the Reapers down sooner rather than later, but as I said, if you combine these Reapers in there with Marines and a Hellion drop, that could be very unpleasant, but I expect this swap around, honestly. I expect Banshee play, and that's exactly what's going to be coming, and the double gas was taken simply for Cloak. There we go, Banshee on the way, Cloak will follow up. The harassment will be happening from these Hellions there, and of course, the Reapers. 3 Reapers in the center of the map. I mean, that's quite a potent force, honestly. You can do a lot of damage with that. You can chew through a mineral line very rapidly. He could easily poke his way up there, and if he's able to multitask properly, then everything will go really, really well for Sjow. What he does have to watch out for, though, with that Hellion is the fact that he's about to get surrounded. Oh, nicely done there by Dimaga. Shut down very, very easily indeed. Curious. Oh, yeah, of course, Dimaga is not able to move out there. He's actually hiding in the tree, as you can see, so that's not being taken out just yet. In the meantime, these Lings are looking around and trying to find out what the hell is going on, and it is a very, very curious start here from Sjow. He's going to be able to do some significant damage, though. Yeah, funky 1-1-1. Got a tank on the way up as well. No sign of expanding whatsoever, so this will be a powerful one-base play. It's almost all in, honestly. The fact that he's been behind on one base for so long, it very much is. I mean, look at the working count there. It's getting to 33. Dimaga actually already has Overseers, so he's a smart little fellow, isn't he? Oh, yes. He suspects that something is amiss. He's already got what he needs in order to deal with that. And I'm not really sure why he sent a Changeling out there. That was a little curious, but an interesting decision there by Sjow actually not to go for Cloak. Which is why he can afford to actually get some tanks out as well. So, see what he's able to do there. Banshee's already picked up 3 kills on the drone line, having taken some damage from that Queen. Second Banshee is out on the field, third one on the way as well. It's intriguing, isn't it? Nothing's happening with these Reapers yet, so I have to imagine he's just going to wait until he's able to get all of the units he needs to put in this powerful 1-1-1 push. SCV's coming off, so yep, this is going to be the attack that actually determines things. We'll see how it turns out for him. Unit count-wise, you should have this without a problem, but of course that doesn't mean that Dimaga won't be able to respond. What tech does Dimaga have? He hasn't got pathogen glands up yet, and he's got no infestors on the field. That's really concerning. If this hits before the pathogen glands come in, that means no fungal growth, so this is going to be very, very powerful indeed. Bunker coming in at the bottom of the ramp, and this is what's going to be happening. He's going to be able to use the Banshees and, of course, the Reapers to hop in and out and lay siege to this expansion here. It's a really nice build, actually. Very, very tight, very dangerous. Dimaga also got supply blocked in the process. Won't be supply blocked for too much longer, but it's a little bit of an edge that he's getting there. A lot of Queens on the field here for Dimaga. He's already on 5. Very characteristic of Dimaga's play, and look at that. Walling off against Lings, using these bunkers here to actually protect those siege tanks. The question is it enough? Scan going down, and the Queens smashing their way through those siege tanks as well. In comes a fungal growth, nicely locked down. Those 2 Banshees still alive at the moment. 3 Queens killed already, and the majority of that push has actually been defeated here. Dimaga should be able to hold this and actually take this series, if he can deal with those Banshees. A single siege tank remains up, 2 Marines in those bunkers. Very, very hard to get around with merely Lings, but that's not going to make a difference very, very soon, because Infestors are on the way. There are easily enough Queens to take that Banshee out right there. He could easily do that. He looks for the surround here. Will he be able to get in there more to the point? Yes, he gets the surround right there on the tank. Tank is going to go down. Down it goes. This push is getting soundly defeated here. That's another Banshee that's about to die very, very rapidly indeed. Good bit of micromanagement from both Sjow and Dimaga, but now there are more Infestors about to pop. Those Banshees will be shut down. Sjow continues with this harassment. Now, let's see how these Infestors do. That's perhaps the most important thing here. In the meantime, this is the situation with Sjow's base. He's on 1 base. He's not expanding. Continuing the harassment. There's a fungal growth. Nicely done there by Dimaga. Loses an Infestor in the process. Needs more anti-air firepower. And another Queen about to go down, but so very close. Survives on 10 HP, and that's all the Banshees down as well. Sjow's attack is starting to peter out here. Doesn't really have a lot of momentum behind it. A cleanup could end up happening. Doesn't have enough Lings to do that yet, but he can intercept these reinforcements. That's exactly what he's going to do. He's, without question, got enough units to make that happen. Tank going down there as well, so the reinforcements on this little barricade down to the bottom aren't going to do too much. Infestor and Ling is really all he needs to clean this up now. The question is, will he decide to save up a large army and actually go straight for his opponent's main, more to the point? Another Banshee is on the way. Sjow continuing with this 1 base play. More Infested Terrans coming in to try and distract his opponent, and that should do the job, especially with the Lings around. And Infested Terrans up, and that's a lot of firepower. It's about to pop up. Nice freebies there, and that has now been crushed. And honestly, even with Sjow's usual tenacity, I don't see him staying in the game for too much longer. Workers killed is 12, so Sjow has managed to keep an edge economically. The problem is that the next wave of drones is pretty much going to seal the fate of Sjow. He doesn't have enough units in order to push his way through here. especially with that many infestors on the field. My concern is that he actually, well, at least for Dimaga anyway, is that he goes in before there are any other units on the field, catches these infestors with low energy, and is able to smash his way through. So, for Sjow, it really is a very, very narrow window of opportunity here. He's going to expand after this. He is certainly behind, there's no doubt, but he's not in a I must leave now position. Sjow is a very tenacious player. Sjow's a very good player. He can come back from this kind of situation. But he's certainly not in a good position. You'll see that his army supply is looking quite nice, but still, what can he do with it? Right now, that army supply is pretty much dead supply. It's not doing anything. Dimaga's got plenty of infestors prepared. Upgrades are in his favor as well, by the way, if you hadn't already noticed that. We're looking at +2 and then +1 carapace on there. Plenty of infestors on the field. That's 9 in total. Easy enough to deal with 3 banshees, as long as he can land the fungals. Plenty of queens still on guard as well. Dimaga continuing to hit those injects over and over again, continuing to pump out the double upgrades, and is now looking to take the 3rd. Sjow having only just secured his natural at the 14 and a 3/4 minute mark. That is very, very late indeed. It's going to be very tricky to see how... I don't know, will Sjow be able to even break through this? The creep spread is really, really good. He's got plenty of upgrades, he's got plenty of access points to that force, and of course he has infestors. Doesn't have burrow, admittedly. That's something I would definitely like to see from Dimaga there. Forcing scans from Sjow, especially when he's only on 2 orbitals, and desperate to try and get back in the game with the use of mules. But this slow crawl across the map can end up being a little bit dangerous here for Dimaga. Creep spread is being denied, and that was a really nice scan as well. Look at the number of creep tumors that were actually killed there. That creep is going to recede quite rapidly. In the meantime, however, we've got Dimaga with Ling Infester, and a good mix of upgrades in there as well. And that is a really nice fungal there. Will he be able to follow it up? Can he get enough infested Terrans under there before the Banshees actually get away? There comes the shelling down on the Banshees. Nice little spread right there by Dimaga. An absolutely stellar engagement. Army completely shut down in the center now. Only this single little bastion of defense remains, and Dimaga's not having any of that. Goes right forward. Doesn't quite have enough links to make that happen, though. Sorting out this creep spread, making sure that he can get everything back up to the way that it was. He doesn't like the fact that Sjow has done a little bit of interior decorating on this area of the map. Prefer for that not to happen. Sjow, however, is starting to catch up. His work count is looking very, very solid because, of course, Dimaga is on a very low work count, having taken damage and also building nothing but units. The concern is that when Dimaga attacks, Sjow may not be able to hold it. If he can, then he will be back into the game, especially with the use of mules. He's basically now ahead economically in terms of what he's currently mining. But Dimaga has a larger trust fund, also has higher tech. Upgrade advantages in favor of Dimaga as well. He's already on +2 melee. He's about to have +2/+2 on his carapace. So his Ling Infester style will work very, very well for him. Hive tech is on the way up here for Dimaga as well. Could it end up going straight for Broodlord? Broodlord would perhaps not really make all that much sense, though. So I'm thinking it's probably, if he's going to do anything with it, and he's not just going Hive for upgrades, he'll probably go Ultralisk. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to go Broodlord now, because of course you've got the Spire build time, then the Greater Spire build time. Also got no upgrades for anti-air attacks either. Would make more sense to see Ultra. Ling Ultra Infester is a good combination. In the meantime, Sjow turtling up as much as he can. I have to wonder what he's going to do with that, actually. Will he actually turn that into a planetary? Because he hasn't unlocked this area, or he may decide to hop all the way over to here, which is a little bit too close to Dimaga's base for my liking. So we'll see what he decides to do. It could, of course, be a defensive planetary fortress, and that's a very, very turtly option there. Ling's getting all the way in, but a lot of damage done, and he gets a few into the main, but only 4. So the amount of damage he'll be able to do to the economy of Sjow is fairly minimal here. He'll at least be able to stop a lot of that gas mining, which is, of course, crucial. Adrenaling's coming up here for Dimaga. An interesting choice, and still no Ultralisk Cavern either, so he could just decide to go straight for Ling Infester and go with the Adrenal Glands upgrade and perhaps +3 melee. An intriguing possibility. Well, let's see how it goes. What's the link count at? Link count is currently only at 12. Infester count is very, very high, but Dimaga isn't really doing anything with it. There's a +3/+3, so the natural transition to Ultralisk would come shortly. Simply because, well, why wouldn't you when you've got all of those options? Dimaga is currently ahead economically, as you can see, work account-wise, but he's got to be careful. Sjow is starting to build his army up. The supply counts are actually on... Yeah, let's try that word again. Actually are not all that different. 52 to 56. There's the third secured for Sjow, and Sjow is now in a much better position. And there's that transition through to Ultralisk that I said was coming. Makes a lot of sense. Really good line breakers. Very good if you want to try and smash your way through a siege line like this. The siege line is now very spread out because of the need to defend this base and the natural here as well. Ghost Academy coming up on the way for Sjow. Fairly good option even against Ultras, honestly. Great option against Infestors. Usually used against Broodlords for obvious reasons, but still. Should be good enough. Now, what I'd like to know is how much information does Sjow have? He knows about the Hive, but he doesn't know about any of the rest of the tech, as you can see. He doesn't know about the Ultra Cavern or anything like that. The sneak thing, he's actually built it on top of those minerals, so you can tell how out of date that information actually is. Ooh. Dimaga going for a Ninja Hatchery, spotted and cleaned up there by the Banshee of Sjow. Very nicely done. Sjow, in the meantime, has got a really nice defense going on. He does now have the economic lead as well. 5 mules, 55 SCVs. I've said it before. Sjow is one of the most tenacious players I've ever seen. He refuses to quit. Absolutely. And Dimaga, playing fairly passively, has allowed him to get back into the game. Sjow's decision not to GG was the right one, and Sjow now has a supply lead as well. He's still behind in terms of his tech, admittedly. He's got no upgrades whatsoever, and he's going up against +3/+3, which means that any kind of engagement that does come in his direction is going to be very, very nasty indeed. And Dimaga showing an unbelievable amount of patience here. Let's cancel. A couple of Infestors coming in to try and grab that Banshee. Unfortunately, oh, never mind. He gets a fungal and nails that down. It almost got away, and that Ninja expansion is now coming up here. Ultralisk's now on the field right here for Dimaga, as you can see. The question is, when did he decide to go? Is he going to wait for 200? I don't know if that's necessarily wise. At this moment, he's got +3/+3. An attack from Dimaga could be potentially devastating. A lot of this defense is spread out. I say that he could very easily strike this third and do a lot of damage there. Changeling's just keeping an eye out, as you can see, just looking for any kind of expansions coming in. And Dimaga now pushing forward. The question is, will he decide to attack? 19 more drones coming up for Dimaga. That'll take him up to a total of 69. A little bit low for this stage of the game, honestly, but Dimaga has been playing quite fast and loose in terms of his drone count and has been looking to get a large army. And this could be a critical engagement here. Dimaga gets right into the center. Admittedly, he doesn't. In fact, he does have the +5 armor upgrade right there. Good EMP on the back. There's a lot of Infestors there and too many Lings. G to the G, ladies and gentlemen, and Dimaga overruns him. Turns out +5/+3 Ultra's pretty good against +0/+1. There you go. Nicely played there by Dimaga. He advances through to the second round with a 2-0 sweep against Sjow. Very unfortunate with the crash earlier that we saw for Sjow as well. He was unfortunately forced to concede one of those games there. We'll try and get into another game very, very shortly. And I'll be back as quickly as I can. I think we're going to cast Bling, actually, by the looks of it. If you want to check out the bracket, by the way, you can head over to tinyurl.com/Twitch bracket. That's tinyurl.com/Twitch bracket.